Welcome to Financial Garden Live, where we plant financial seeds every week so you can grow in our 6 areas of focus. Emotions and money, entrepreneurship, budgeting, banking, debt fundamentals, and investing. I'm your host, Tasha Danielle. Let's dig in. Hi everyone, welcome to Financial Garden Live. I'm gonna let you know right now, I have a fly that I cannot get rid of. So if you see me doing this, it's because I have a fly in here I can't not get rid of. I shouldn't have opened my windows. I wanted fresh air to come in, and now this fly will not go away. So this is gonna be a solo episode today. I'm just gonna be on here. Sorry, I'm like thinking of flies in my hair. Solo episode today talking about college costs. So not college costs, but 5 things that I feel that college students should know and or their parents. And don't think of college students in the terms of, oh, someone who just graduated high school or anything like that. A lot of people are considering going back to school right now because of coronavirus and wanting to earn a higher income. So I wanted to talk about 5 things that should be considered when getting an undergraduate degree and or master's degree. What are the costs? Are you really going to get an ROI on it? So this came from I came up with this idea to talk about this today from 2 different perspectives. One, I made a post a few weeks ago on Instagram about was your college degree worth it, and posted in my stories and got a lot of responses, kind of all over the place. But when I asked more probing questions to people, they felt like their college cost was worth it. Only a couple of people felt like it absolutely was not. And the reason being is the amount of student loans that they took out versus their current salary. So that's one reason I want to talk about 5 things I think you should know as a college student and if you're a parent. The other thing is I'm going to be presenting tomorrow at my alma mater. I'll be in college. I'm going to be talking to college students. And so I figure why not talk about a few of the things I'm going to be talking about with them tomorrow with you all today on a live. So if you know a college student, make sure you tag and share this video because this is going to be some good information for them. So the first thing that I want to say or bring up as far as college costs is what's the ROI? What's the return on investment? So a lot of people go to school, college, they're going to take out student loans. My question is the amount of student loans you're going to take out worth your expected salary? There are some great resources that can help you answer that question. Payscale.com has an ROI calculator for college degrees, and so does bankrates.com. Those are some good resources to do a calculator to see, or they do projections based on your major, what the average salary is going to be when you graduate college and what your debt is. So you can kind of see what type of return you're going to get. PayScale does it from the perspective of how much of your income is going to be going to student loan payments every month. That's something that a lot of people don't consider until they're paying it and feel like it wasn't worth it. So this will give you a way to look at the future and see if the amount of student loans you're about to take out or currently taking out, are you going to earn a high paying salary to be able to cover that? You don't want to wait to after the fact, after you graduate, to realize that it may not have made the most sense to spend $100,000 for a bachelor's degree in social work. I'm just throwing that out there because you may feel like, well, I'm not going to earn enough to be able to even cover my student loan payments or even like have a life on top of that, right? So that's why the millennials get a bad rap for not growing up, because a lot of millennials ended up moving back home because of all the student loan costs and not really being able to live on their own and pay off all the student loan debt. So what will your degree earn you in the future? That is something to think about and to crunch the numbers on. And like I said, payscale.com And bankingrates.com gives good calculators for you to do those calculations. Another thing I want to say about ROI is, what if you are done, you just graduated, and you're like, well, now what am I supposed to do? I'm going to go and get a master's degree because I can't find any gainful employment, and I think this will make me look better in the job market. Again, I want to say, do that calculation. What's the average salary with that person with your degree with a master's? Because if it's the same as a bachelor's, you should really figure out how to pivot. So if you are in school and you're realizing that the salary won't be that high, you have to get into the mindset of how can you side hustle or monetize this degree to your advantage. Because the reality is, if you are in, you pick the major that doesn't pay a whole lot of money and you have a lot of student loan debt that you're going to be paying, you really need to figure out how to fill in that gap and not feel overwhelmed when working a lot of different part-time jobs. How can you really monetize something that you're learning in school? So if you're going to school for teaching, obviously tutoring is an easy one to go, but what about being an education consultant on the side for other districts? What can you do to side hustle and get extra money in based off of your degree? So I'm talking about ROI on your degree. And if you just graduated, don't feel like you can't do anything about it to change it. What can you do to add more to the degree you have? Is there a certification that you can get? Sometimes certifications mean more than the actual degree. So if you are in IT, for example, I want to say Cisco is like a common, like different certifications mean more than the actual IT degree. That is something to consider for whatever major that you're going into. What is a certification that can earn you more money? And I keep bringing up money and the numbers because honestly, college is big business. And so they, even if they're for profit, it's still a business. The tuition is not low, right? You're paying all this money for a degree. You want to make sure it makes sense for the amount of student loans that you're taking out. So again, look at payscale.com, bankingrates.com to see what your potential degree will earn you in the future and if it makes sense for the amount of student loans that you're taking out. All right, so I talked about the ROI piece on that for your degree. The other thing that I always tell people who are in undergrad or getting their master's is career services at your campus. You need to be really familiar with the people that are in this office because they can help you with your resume, interviewing skills, and have insight to job postings that are coming available from alumni being on campus, what's going on at their place of work. So you really want to like know the people in your career services office. And parents who are watching who have kids in school or young adults in college, this is something that you want to make sure that they're doing, because if you're paying for them to go to college and you're trying to make sure they're going to have a good career and kind of guiding them along and molding them, this is something that they should be checking out as career services. Now, I know I talked about ROI and it may seem like, okay, wow, I want to follow my passions when I'm in school, right? I double majored. Like psychology is my passion, what I really wanted to do, but I knew it was going to take a lot more student loan debt and I really could not afford it. I was paying my way through school, so I had to go with what was going to make me money at the time and then pivot and to figure out how can I fulfill that passion that I had. But I didn't want to have all this debt and have a max earning potential of $60,000 a year. It just, for me, I ran the numbers. And so we're thinking about the ROI factor for you to get the biggest bang for your buck as a parent or as a student who's taking on a student loan debt. You want to make sure that you are visiting career services so you can, get exposure and opportunity to get your career started. A lot of people do not do that, believe it or not. And so the other thing is internships. So I want to spend some time here because I have a lot of experience with hiring interns in Fortune 100 and 500 companies and being on that recruiting team with HR to really know what is being looked for and then the benefits of going and get an internship versus not. So When you are visiting career services, oh my God. So my cat, this is doing live. Like my cats are going crazy right now. They are determined to be featured on this live at my door. I have it closed. So if you hear knocking, it's not anyone trying to break into my house. That's just my cats. But internships is something key to consider. So if you are in the medical field, getting your undergraduate degree or just a certification or something like that, externships or internships may be already embedded into your program. But what if it's not? You need to really be talking to your professors, working with career services to get an internship and hopefully a paid internship into whatever your major is going to be. There are so many benefits to having an internship. Number one, extra cash if it's paid. And number two, you get to see if you really like that environment or that major that you picked. A lot of people realize that this is a lot different from what I was learning in class and doing group projects. In the real world, the culture that you experience in a certain industry can be a lot different than what you were expecting. So that's one reason it's so important to get an internship. How to get an internship. The colleges will post on their site through career services internships that are available on campus, but you also need to be doing your due diligence and finding them on your own. So I always recommend students have a LinkedIn profile to be able to find internships that are posted there. Glassdoor post internships, but you want to be able to put yourself in the position to get an internship. And besides getting experience and getting paid for it, it also is going to look good for you to get full-time employment after graduating. Even if you want to take that gap year, take a year off before going into your career, you're going to have real world experience that could set you apart from someone who doesn't have it. And a lot of times people do not consider internships because they feel like, oh, it's not really going to help me. I'll get the experience after I graduate. But you are going to be competing with people who did get the internship and that experience. So how do you stand out to get the internships, and what are corporations really looking for with interns and co-ops? So for me, my experience is that we really are, when being on the recruiting side of HR and having interns report up to me, the thing is attitude. Honestly, I do so many resume mock interview workshops with young adults, college students in Detroit, Metro Detroit area, just to give them game on how to secure the internship or secure the job in a corporate setting. And a lot of it is your resume. Are you telling a story? Even if you don't have job experience with applying for an internship, what are you doing on campus that can show team skills, you being able to think strategically, work independently? What can you put in your resume to display that? And also with how your appearance is when you are on the interview, and how do you speak, and do you seem enthusiastic or excited about the position? I have interviewed or been a part of like recruiting teams at career fairs, and students don't even understand what the company does. They're just passing out their resume, no enthusiasm, or even on the interview, they don't even understand what the role is that they're applying for. They're just like, they just want experience. But I'm like, experience in what? So knowing exactly what you're applying for, how you appear, and how enthusiastic you are. I actually hired an intern who was more enthusiastic with less experience, and the person who had the experience but just didn't even seem like they wanted to be bothered on the interview. Now I know people can fake it in the interview, but I just was like, you don't even seem like you want to be bothered with me now, let alone when the position is actually happening when you get hired in. So again, ROI, figuring out your degree is number one. Figuring out if your degree will yield you a certain return, if it makes sense for you to pay a lot of money for a degree that doesn't pay that well. Number two is career services, become best buds with them, get experience in there. And then number three, I was talking about internships. So we're going to move on to number four, which is making student loan payments while you are in school. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, if I'm in school, I probably am only working the bare minimum. I don't have that much coming in. I'm going to wait to after I graduate to pay my student loans. I did that, and I honestly, that's the regret I have, is not making student loan payments, even just interest only payments while I was in school. It makes a big difference if you're paying on that interest and paying that while you're actually in school. So I always encourage college students to do that, because when you get out in 6 months after graduation, when it's due, it won't be so bad. Now I know we're in a pandemic and there's some uh, delays, or I should say there's some benefits into not benefits. There is some grace being extended for people to pay their student loans right now. But in normal world, no COVID world, those student loans are going to be due 6 months after graduation. You can go in the forbearance or deferment for a number of reasons, right? If you don't have the income to pay it. There's other different ways you can do to prolong making those payments, including going back to school. A lot of people stay in school. They are like professional students, so they can avoid paying student loans. But I just want to say that I will I can't talk today. I strongly recommend people making payments while they're in school, because it will make your interest, it will reduce the interest you pay overall, and you are getting a jump start to tackling your debt. The last thing I want to talk about is review and understand your student account. I'm going to say that again. Review and understand your student account. Now, there is a thing called refund checks, and people will get refunds from the school, basically a check from the school saying you have a credit balance. You have a surplus on your balance on your student account because you had more student loans or grants come in than your tuition, room, and board is, right? So that people will get a check back. But then you can also have the opposite happen the next semester when there's a shortage and you owe money, and it can be a domino effect and just going back and forth about what is owed on your account. I always recommend that people review this every semester so you truly understand what's going on in your account, what loans, what grants are coming through. I had a scholarship that was a delay in hitting my student account by like several weeks, and so I had to pay that money out of pocket. The school was saying like, this is the balance that you owe. This, I don't know what's going on with the scholarship, but it didn't come in. So really having an understanding of what's going on in your student account is key. And if you're making student loan payments while you're in school, you will have a handle what's going on in your student account. But it's just always better to review and make sure things are accurate, because it's human beings working in there. It can be mistakes made all the time. So you want to make sure that what's going on in your account is accurate and key. So these are the 5 things that I think are most important for college students to know, parents to know for their students that are in school or preparing to go to school, that will avoid you regretting your college degree. Because like I said, again, a lot of people said they regretted their college degree because of the amount of income they're earning right now. And this is a constant conversation that I have with high school students. So financial guardian teaches students kindergarten through 12 about money. And so for high school students, I spend a great amount of time explaining to them the cost of college and the average salary for careers. And if it makes sense to take on X amount of dollars for student loans if you're only going to earn this amount of money. And I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, but it's something that you really should consider, because colleges are really a business. So again, it's sparked because I'm going to my alma mater tomorrow to present and talk to students. So I figured I would jump on here and talk about college since it's top of mind for me. We're preparing for that presentation tomorrow. If you have questions about college costs, FAFSA, financial aid, or whatever, and you're like, how can I get knowledge on this? Drop something in the comments and I'll respond with some resources for you to use. And I will see you all next Thursday at 7 p.m. Bye.